Hey, welcome back to the stream, everyone. Looks like we're live in all the usual places. You can get the stream from live.diode.zone/scanlime, or from twitch.tv/scanlime, or from the Scanlime-in-progress channel on YouTube. This still isn't going to be like the usual technical content because I'm still moving and getting stuff set up, so I don't really have a desk or any tools or any like planned out projects really at the moment, but really my big project is getting things set up, so we can talk about that for sure. And it seemed like maybe we could just hang out with Tuco a bit and wander around the house maybe. And so yeah, if anybody missed it, the big thing that I've been doing lately is moving to a different city and to a house that I own in some kind of weird property ownership sense, which still doesn't make sense to me, but hey, it means it's a place I can stay without paying rent to weird landlords for, ever, so that sounds kind of cool. And yeah, it's like a physical space that I'm responsible for. And the biggest change you might notice since the last stream is we are no longer surrounded by server fan noise. So in fact, this is kind of the ambient noise that you're hearing from the room. There's a microphone right over there, but in fact, we have another option now. So we have a wireless headset that's actually good, unlike the previous wireless headset that was kind of bad, like kind of really bad. So yeah, I invested in an actually good wireless headset, so this might help a lot given, there's a little more space to wander in right now. It's not just one big room. And yeah, now we have the capacity to be slightly more quiet, which is always nice. So yeah, and I tried to get a wireless camera set up to kind of go with this. Some of you might have seen a little video I posted on Diode Zone just testing out this wireless HDMI transmitter I've got. It's this thing, Nereus Aries Prime. These are pretty expensive, actually, like a couple $100, and it's really good for situations where it works. Like I was using it to send video up to a projector on the ceiling, and they send like very lightly compressed HDMI with very low latency. So I think the latency is just like a frame or two, and it's some kind of technically lossy compression, but not really noticeably so. And it works pretty well, but it requires pretty much entirely line of sight. It's some kind of high frequency stuff. I don't know what it is, but I think it's like 5 gigahertz or higher, so it does really bad with walls. Yeah. So, yeah, and then I tried Wi-Fi streaming. Gosh, I mean, I know the kids just like broadcast video with Periscope these days, but I mean, right, like, I tried a couple options, and, I mean, I don't know, I didn't try just like creating a Google Hangout to myself or something, because I didn't want to just like, it felt like cheating to send the video to some kind of external video conferencing service just to get it from one side of the house to the other. But I was trying to run just some generic like IP camera server on some random Android phone, which was a setup that I've used in the past, like as a makeshift security camera kind of thing. But it just has like large and unpredictable latency, which is kind of typical for like cheap IP camera setups. You just kind of shove the video into a compression pipeline and it comes out several seconds later, kind of unpredictably, which is fine if you're just monitoring a bunch of cameras in a only semi-real-time capacity. But for doing live streams, it's not so great when your audio and video are all kind of going over different paths and you need to combine things. So yeah, I've also in the past had an analog camera set up for like standard def. That was interesting, but I don't know, it's like more of a novelty than something that I found super useful. Anyway, I've got something even better than a wireless camera, or maybe even almost as better as a wireless camera that works, which is a long wire. So we can at least wander around a little, and I might start by just hanging out with Tuco, because Tuco's awesome. So I might ditch these headphones. I'll have to just guess that my audio is still alright. Oh yeah, so camera on a long wire. Yeah, so it's a house. It's pretty cool. It's a little quieter because so this is the same room I was in before. This is the one that I want to turn into some kind of like proper office recording studio kind of thing. Which might involve additional sound treatment, but I mean, I don't know, man. This headset is working all right as it is, so I'm less worried about just like soundproofing this room like crazy. But I certainly have options to add additional sound, soundproofing and or just sound treatment to the room. So, but just having it be fanless is already quite a big improvement. So, I've had the desktop computers, like the workstations that run all this stuff, in a rack for a while, but the rack's been kind of close to the area where I film, which is not optimal. And for a while, it was all limited by the wire lengths. But I just decided, like, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet and try to find some, like, wire long lengthening solutions that actually work. Because I'm just really tired of having all the fan noise right next to where I'm trying to record audio and, like, work on quiet projects. So this is all running off of a computer that's on the other side of the house right now. And I've got some of the usual devices. Like, I don't have everything hooked up right now, but I've got at least, like, a mouse and keyboard and those little like button pad devices. The one on the bottom is a MIDI device, and the one on the top is like keyboard shortcuts for the video streaming. And then, I've actually got two separate USB buses running. So that's why there are two kind of identical boxes there, because I needed enough bandwidth to have, if I tried running the audio and the video on the same USB bus, it would run out of isochronous bandwidth. But yeah, so the audio is running over one of those USB converters also, and that seems to be working fine. That's the audio interface right over there. So I'm pretty happy with this so far. I'm gonna try to get this set up a little more properly once I clear enough floor space to unpack the desk properly. I have these couple of remaining long boxes over there, which I might need to go through ASAP to see if those have any server rails that I'm missing. So yeah, I'm trying to get all the server hardware like off of the floor and into the racks, now that I know pretty much where the racks are going. So I've got stuff like this, which is pretty much ready to go in a rack, but it has these proprietary rails it comes with, which actually seem pretty cool. They just fit into those flanges that stick out on the back of the server, or on the back of the UPS. And so there's like a C channel. Anyway, they're pretty cool in theory, but I seem to remember there's some reason I couldn't use them on my previous setup. But I was trying to, at least get equipment into, I was trying to adjust my rack properly before filling it, so that I could get like all the width and depth out of it that I could for some of this big equipment. And I think even still, I can't quite fit some of the proprietary rails. So like the super micro servers I have also have proprietary rails that just don't fit. I think that APC UPS might be in a similar situation, but I wanted to at least find them. I think I still have them somewhere, but otherwise plan B is I just put them on a generic kind of shelfy rail thing like I had them on before, which is not optimal, but it at least holds it up. So yeah, there's a lot to do in here. This is going to pretty much be the area for recording and projects and video and audio and everything that's like quiet and relatively clean, and can be an area where Tuco is usually welcome, but I can exclude him as necessary, if necessary. So let's see. I'm noticing the video jump a little bit. I'm wondering if my HDMI cable's loose or if that's my imagination. Okay, so lots of wires on the floor here. We could go on a full house tour, but maybe it's just better to hang out with Tuco right now. I think that might be more fun. So, is Tuco going to immediately want to come out here? Sorry for the visuals, I'm going to have to open the door kind of carefully. Hey, Tuk, what you up to? Oh, he's looking at the birds. So, welcome to my messy bedroom. Well, it's also Tuco's room, and he's really what we're here for, right? Tuk Tuk! Oh, don't go outside right now. Oh, let's not... He wants to hang out outside sometimes, which is... I don't blame him, it's kind of cool out there, but there's some additional cat proofing I need to do. So it's only kind of like supervised tours right now. Hey, Tuk Tuk, you want to hang out in here? Oh, this lens is not very wide angle. Hey, Tuk Tuk. Do you want to run on the wheel? And we could follow Chico around the house a bit. He seems to want to go out there. He also seems to just want to hang out. Possibly chew on my HDMI cable. Manually operated Tuco flyer. Oops. Hey, Tuk Tuk. Do you want to run on the wheel, Tuco? Tuco, I need to know where you're gonna be. He's just gotta really like rub himself against all my wiring. Oh yeah, what is up with this HDMI cable? Why does it look familiar? Yeah, I don't know. It's very gamery. I just remember it being like one of the few long HDMI cables I could find that had like good reviews when I was looking for a long HDMI cable, but I bought it a while ago. Oh, and Tuk Tuk. I don't know how much you can hear Tuco's chirping over this mic. He is still just rubbing himself on my wiring. Oh gosh, I got this box for him pretty recently, like I think just like a week ago, and he's already torn it up so much. Hey boy. Okay, yeah, the video skipping is not my imagination. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I think it is the HDMI cable being loose somewhere, but I don't know where the bad connection is. It could also just be that the cable is really long and kind of very marginal in its electrical characteristics right now. Oh yeah, Tuco needs to climb, so he definitely appreciates having a way to get to the window. Yeah, this isn't the usual video setup that I use for the camera. I have it connected to the USB 3 HDMI grabber that usually runs the computer view, so like nothing is normal, everything is weird. I mean, I'm about to like completely redo my router and firewall configuration, so I've got to figure out how that's going to be, and my network's probably going to be relatively broken for a day or two. But yeah, there's so much to figure out, and I mean, I don't know. I've been exhausted by physical objects for a while, so this is kind of a continuation of a long trend. But at least this time it feels like I'm working towards something that's sustainable because I can stay here for the foreseeable future, unlike the previous place. Yeah, I think so. I think my actual solution for this camera is going to be going back to SDI instead of HDMI. So I might have different cable problems and different video digitizer problems at that point. Or not, it's not a digitizer. This is get with the 21st century, Micah. Actually, it's kind of weird that I have this digital wireless microphone now, which then has to have, D to A converter so that it can go into the mic preamp in my audio interface. But if it was just like a separate USB wireless microphone, then there wouldn't be a great way to keep it totally synchronized with the other audio interface, so I'd have different problems. Cat butt. Tuco has been surprisingly chill in this little room. Like, I was expecting that he would just go really stir crazy in here and just want out all the time. But I mean, of course he wants out sometimes, but it seems like for the most part he actually really likes the coziness and likes the window. Oh, look, the windows. Yeah, he's got pretty good access to both the windows in here. There's like a side window and a back window. And the side window you can kind of see the road a little bit and you can see trees. And the back window you have a lot of trees and squirrels and birds. Many kinds of birds too. Various crows and songbirds and hummingbirds. Oh, hey, look, So yeah, that shotgun mic that I'd been using really picks up a lot of room noise compared to this headset. And I mean, in the previous headset I had a wired headset and a wireless, and the wired sounded good but was inconvenient, and the wireless was just low quality. Anyway, the whole like high maintenance network and video setup is certainly a thing that I have to deal with, I guess. But then there's also the I really need to figure out what the focus project-wise is going to be as soon as I get this stuff usable again. I had some stuff I was working on before moving kind of took over everything, but I need to figure out like what really my motivation should focus on. Oh, Tuco's been spending a lot of time on this heated pad, which I have set up the same way it was at the old place. Like right there. That blue thing. You can inspect all the terrible wires. So yeah, this whole house is covered in wires right now. It's kind of super messy. I've got a plan mostly for how to do the actual wiring, but there's a lot of detail I need to work out, and I don't know. I was just having second thoughts about how much, how much I was running like all the wiring into one rack, where that rack was already pretty full, and I didn't necessarily have room for all the patch panels I would need, and so trying to figure out what to do about that. Oh, you just want to play Bolt? Yeah. Yeah. Well, ouch, Tuco. Oh, now Tuco's just eating. Hmm. Hmm. So yeah, there's just a lot of wiring going on, and I still need to figure out like how much of the electrical work to do at what point in time. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out like what all the dependencies are, and just do things as the dependencies open up. Because I want to make sure that I am fairly certain that I'm happy with the locations for the equipment racks before, for example, like drilling holes in the floors for conduit, that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, I'm mostly happy with the locations, but I need to think about it. I don't really have much to talk about on this stream without like my desk set up and a project to work on. I'm mostly just hanging out with Tuco. But hello. That's weird that the frames are just out of order, but glitchy. Or sorry, not glitchy, just out of order, according to Sodium on the YouTube chat. Yeah, that might be a problem with the grabber and the camera not being compatible with each other or something. I mean, I could try switching the camera to 1080i from 1080p and let OBS do the deinterlacing. That might switch it, or that might fix it. Can't tell if it switched modes. Tuco, do you want to run? Tuco likes to run really fast, but it's like hard to video because it's hard to tell when he's in the mood, and he needs my full attention, so it's like difficult for me to get the camera ready. Yeah? Oh. You want more? It's like he can run just fine on his own, but he really likes doing it with me. This is not very ergonomic for the human, but I'm sure it's fun for Tuco. How's that boy? Oh gosh, I had some coffee around here somewhere. Yeah, he's a very good runner. It's nice to run together with Tuco. Yeah, he likes going fast. He can go really fast. He definitely wasn't making it to top speed just then. Oh, you want more? Okay. I definitely run over my fingers with this sometimes, and it's not great. Gosh, I need a hair tie to do this properly. Tuco doesn't understand hair ties except as snacks. Oh. I know. Just a second, Tuco. Oh, I know, honey. Oh, cannot keep the microphone wire out of this ponytail. Oh, Tuk. Thanks for waiting, Tuco. Oops. This is like by far the best tricep workout I get. Maybe we're both getting tired. Hey, boy. I don't know if it's my imagination, but Tuco seems even softer since we moved. My theory is that living in a house is good for hair. Hey, Tuco. You wanna do some wandering? Whoa. Tuco, what do you want? Hey. Oh yeah, there's a good view. I think Tuco's distracted by the windows momentarily. There's some gusts of wind outside, so the trees are moving around. There's probably some interesting bird activity that I can't see from my angle. Oh yeah, there's some interesting questions. Oh, Tuco, hey boy. I thought I could come over here to look at the laptop, but Tuco wouldn't follow me here. Oh yeah, hey boy. Oops. I was trying to flip out the viewfinder for the camera and accidentally refocused it. Yeah, it's a weird little area. It's got a mixture of trees and empty space and houses and apartments. Yeah, so there are some questions. One was, have I ever designed anything for Tuco? And yes, I mean, I've tried. I don't know that I've really succeeded. I think a lot of the stuff that I end up making that Tuco ends up liking is relatively simple stuff, like, putting some furniture in a spot that he likes, kind of like what he's doing right now. And I want to extend that by building some more kind of wall-mounted cat hangout spots around here. I mean, I made that flyer robot, which was not really for him, but about him. I tried making some devices that would throw bolts, because Tuco loves fetching bolts so much. But I never really got that to the point where it was something that he liked. It seems like there was really something missing about the experience of having the robot throw the bolt. So yeah, even when it seemed to bounce in a way that was, like looked roughly right to me, it was more like, he wants to hang out with me, and he wants me to like get his attention, and he wants to see the bolt kind of bounce around a bit before it actually goes flying, and wants to have that whole experience. Oh yeah, and then we tried 3D printing some of the nylon bolts to try to have variations on the design. There's a really good bird. Oh, Tuco, I thought I thought Tuco was paying attention to the bird, but I think he was paying attention to something else. And then while I was looking to see what Tuco was checking out, I noticed this awesome, I don't know, it's like blue and white. It seems pretty cool. There are a lot more kinds of birds here. I'm gonna have to get used to that. Can I get that on the camera? I was thinking this bird would be gone, but oops. Ooh. Oh, I'm really holding this camera backwards. There it is. Yeah, whatever that is, it's cool. And it stuck around for a lot longer than I expected. I don't think Tuco's seen it yet. Oh, Tuk. That's just a really chill bird. Wonder if I can extend the tripod all the way. There's just barely the bird. Is that really as high as this goes? Oh, that's frustrating. There we go. See you later. Yeah, so those are cool. I see those around here sometimes. I seem to be more interested in them than Tuco is, which is weird for a bird. Sorry for all the tripod fussing. Chico is just munching now. You can see one of many temporary cameras. That one's just so that I can check on Chico's food situation when I'm walking around. Oh yeah, another question. What is it like to have normal floors? It's pretty great. Yeah, the concrete floors, I appreciate the durability, but they're just really cold. So I have concrete in the garage now. It's not nearly as nice of a concrete floor. It's just like an old, cracked, unfinished concrete slab. It isn't like, epoxy covered concrete or anything, but it serves its purpose, and I think I'll cover parts of it with carpet to make a nicer surface for feet, and then still have the bare concrete available when I need that for shop stuff. But yeah, the hardwood in here is great. It's so good that I like I'm really nervous about drilling holes in it to run additional wiring, because like it's really nice and I don't want to mess with it, but I'm probably going to need to do a little bit of hole drilling. And there's certainly already several holes that are no longer, or probably haven't been for a long time, in use, and I need to figure out how to patch those. Yeah, there's just like generally a lot of like house stuff to do and to learn how to do around here. You know, a lot of figuring out how to do things, or figuring out how to find someone to do things, or figuring out which things to do myself and which things to look for help and all that. Tuco, are you standing on the chat and making... Usually when he sits on the laptop, he changes the title of the stream. Hey, boy. Here. Has he changed the title yet? Looks like not. Are we talking about electrical service now too? Yeah, I haven't done the electrical service upgrade here yet, but that's something that I'm trying to plan out. That's the immediate reason that I got a small generator to run the servers. But I wanted to have a generator anyway. It was the sort of thing that I probably would have had for a long time if I had any outdoor space. So now that I have my own outdoor space, I have my own generator, and that's pretty cool. Hey, boy. Oh, are we gonna get the good crispy close-up? Hey. I figure people who don't like cats probably don't stick around this channel too long. Gosh, and the floor feels nice, and it's generally pretty sturdy. There are a couple of spots that are really creaky, but it seems like generally the structure of the house is pretty sound. There just might be some areas where the hardwood and the subfloor aren't really attached to each other super well. Oh, the PCB coaster? Yeah, that was a freebie from Advanced Circuits a long time ago. They also used to give out popcorn. They had this student special where you could get, what was it, like 3 boards for $33. Something like that. Tuco, you're so pretty. Oh, we have a vote from Jarrett that bird might be a scrub jay. That's cool. Oh yeah, and the diode zone video should be working. I got that. It turns out that the exact same problems affected the video stream for this show and for the Isopod channel. Who would have thought? Yeah, I just needed to change some IP addresses around. Weep. Yeah, the bird sounds here are pretty great. I'm really glad that Tuco seems to be as happy here as he appears. Tuco is very advanced. I've heard people compare Bengal cats to having a toddler with just how much they get into. And I mean, I've never raised a toddler, thankfully. Thankfully, I've avoided children, or at least having them in such close proximity. But yeah, he certainly gets into things, and that was a big challenge in the old place where it was really just one big room, and I couldn't have any kind of project without Tuco getting into it. It's great. I was like unpacking stuff in the garage and making big messes with like cables and tape and stuff, and the kind of thing that Tuco would have just immediately gotten into at my old place. It was nice to have a bit more freedom there. Oh, I didn't realize my coffee would make such gross noises. Sorry. Oh, Tuco, are you gonna drink my coffee? Are you just looking at the condensation? Yeah, Tuco's kind of a lot, but he's also pretty great. Back to the Tuco tripod, huh? It's been a while. Yeah, before I built the Tuco Flyer robot at the old place, I had a tripod on wheels that I would roll around to keep up with Tuco. This is a much fancier camera than I had on the old tripod. Yeah, Tuco could be certainly pretty dangerous. He's definitely capable of just like outright killing humans if he wanted to, but you know, he's nice. He wouldn't do that. Yeah, I tried to break up a fight between him and this other cat once, and I got some pretty deep cuts as a result. Oh, there's a great squirrel. Can we take a squirrel break? Oh, can we focus on the squirrel? Yeah, so we've got a bunch of stuff like that around here that Tuco and I both appreciate. I was walking the other day and I saw a squirrel just like literally burying a nut. Like textbook squirrel behavior. It was great. Oh man, squirrel and bird. Compact cat mode. Well, Tuco is really sharp. Tuco has very sharp claws. You know, I trim his. So he had this problem with his extra like middle claw getting ingrown. So I would trim that in the past. He hasn't really had problems with that in a while though. So usually I'll just check it and it doesn't need trimming because he scratches on his own a lot more now. But yeah, he keeps all of his claws pretty sharp. You know, and usually he won't use them unless he intends to. But you know, cats will do the thing where like, you know, they'll like be like standing on you or something, and then like in the process of dismounting from your body, they'll just take a bunch of flesh with them. And so Tuco will definitely do that. But yeah, the only time I've really gotten, you know, my flesh in the way of his claws when he was like really in a bad mood was when I was fostering these two cats for a while, and he and one of the other cats was having some kind of argument over space. You know, I think he had like cornered one of the other cats in this space, and then the other cat like started something, you know, trying to get out, and that escalated, and you know, they were like hissing at each other and like starting to take swipes, and so I got in between them, and Chico just took some swipes right at my arm, and I was bleeding pretty badly. That was a while ago. Still got the scars from it though. Yeah, this is the farthest I've had the servers from my bedroom in a long time. Like I'm kind of used to noisy stuff in my living space. I mean, I grew up in this little basement room where I kept a bunch of equipment in my bedroom, and then lived in several places that were noisy for different reasons. Like one place that was close to a bunch of city train tracks, and another place that was close to like a regional train. That was the last place. And then this place is close to some really busy streets, which is where most of the outside noise comes from. But it's still a lot quieter than being next to the servers. I usually really appreciate Tuco's claws being sharp. You know, I don't really mind him being a cat. You know, he'll tear stuff up sometimes, but I try to just, like, I don't know. It gets really stressful when there's stuff that I can't keep him away from. But now that I have doors and a house, that's less of a problem so far. You know, like the project stuff that I need to keep away from him, I can keep in a separate place, like the garage or wherever. And in here, there, you know, so those wires on the floor, for example, those are wires that are relatively important that I need to run through the walls, but, or through the crawl space, I guess. But, until then, you know, if Tuco is really determined to chew on one of those wires, then the internet here goes out, which will suck, but right now my mitigation is that I try to make sure that the tastiest wires for Tuco to chew on are the ones that are least important for my infrastructure. Yeah, boy. Oh, do you want to go outside, Tuco? It looked like he was requesting to go out, but now he seems to be settling in. I guess while we're on this topic of pets and/or moving and/or technology, I've got the Isopods stream set up too. It's a little bit different than before, because I haven't got the cameras framed super well. I really need to make a new mount because the way the cameras are actually positioned right now is just super bad and was intended to be more temporary than it ended up being. But I've got at least the microscope camera streaming right now. And I've been doing a little bit of time lapsing on that, and it's kind of interesting because you get only the motion from that microscope area. You don't have the overview with its motion also. So the time lapses end up being a bit different. I've got my workstation with the most CPU power sitting on the floor of the living room, crunching through Isopod frames right now. Yeah, Tuco's so chill. Love you, Tuco. Oh, I can barely read the chat from here, but I think I see a question about whether Tuco has a cable preference. Yes, certain cables seem to have like a very high risk of Tuco chewing them. Other cables I've never seen him touch. So, for example, I've never seen him chew on like a lamp extension cord, the kind of like zip cord style cables, but like a round power cord like you usually find in a computer or a monitor, for example, he will just nom on those like there's no tomorrow, so you really have to protect power cables from him. He really likes the HDMI cables I have, so there's something about like a thickness of, in the like 5 to 10 millimeter kind of range, and like chunky rubber. Like I think he likes something that could be like a tail of a small animal or something. He likes that texture. He doesn't seem to care as much for the braided cloth cables. He mostly eats the rubber cables, but I've seen him chew on my braided USB power cable for my phone a little bit. That might be a problem later. So far, that seems to be mostly alright. Like, even just right here, I'm looking, and like, I haven't seen Tuco go after that HDMI cable so far, but like right there's a bite on the Ethernet cable. So like, that is definitely the kind of cable he will bite. Just like standard Cat5 is definitely something he will chew up. Oh, he'll also chew on coax, which is pretty bad. Like, I really have to be careful with oscilloscope probes around him. Yeah, he just likes that. I mean, I'm sure it must be a satisfying texture with like a plastic skin, and then like a bunch of hard fibrous bits inside, and then like kind of a waxy insulator layer. Like, I'm sure it just feels great in his teeth, but I wish he wouldn't chew on them. Vampire bites are indeed very retro for network cables. That's true. Yeah, I don't have any networking coax around here, but I'll probably end up having some video coax. My plan for at least most of the low voltage wiring at this point is to run a pretty thick, like 2-inch diameter plastic conduit from my recording area to the server area. Then I'll have room to run like video cables and network cables and stuff between those places pretty easily. So yeah, my plan is actually to have like one of those big conduits between the recording area and one of the racks, another one between the two racks, and then one each going up to the attic and to the crawl space from one or the other of the racks. That's still kind of TBD because I need to figure out like where I've got room for the patch cables. Oh gosh, headphone wires. Yeah, Tuco will definitely chew up, just like your standard like white Apple earbuds, like that kind of wire. Tuco will definitely chew those up. I have to keep those put away. Yeah, I think that kind of rubbery texture is some of his favorite. And I tried different protection methods. Like I tried some of this bitter spray. That didn't really seem to work. He didn't really care, and it didn't last very long. And then yeah, the stuff I found that seemed to work the best was that corrugated like split loom stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's got its drawbacks too. It's like kind of annoying, and it's loud, and I don't know how much I trust the like flammability resistance of it. Yeah, I mean, I used so much of that corrugated. Oh no, my camera's overheating. Well, I'm gonna need a solution to that. If I'm gonna use this as a stream camera, I need to be able to stream from it without it overheating. Yeah, I thought my problem was going to be having enough power, so I had this thing plugged into an external power source, but maybe temperature is more the issue. Well, oops. I'm just going to unplug this and leave it where it is and go back in front of the USB camera for a minute. You're probably seeing a bunch of static on your end. I'm sorry. But you know, times like this, I'm glad the microphone is separate. I guess it's just a black screen. Hi. Well, that was a fun experiment. I need to figure out how to keep those cameras cool, because I've had multiple streams now since getting that new camera where it's gotten too warm. And it's not particularly warm in here. It's pretty comfortable, so I think I might need to do some kind of add-on. I don't know. There's like not... The exterior of the camera didn't really feel warm, so I'm not really sure how I get the heat out. My Wi-Fi connection back here is actually really bad, so I'm trying to get my laptop just on the chat and everything, and it's being kind of flaky. Yeah, my old Wi-Fi situation was just like one little D-Link access point that ran a bunch of separate networks for my kind of paranoid firewalling and everything around here. But yeah, that does not have the range, so I'm trying to set up something with multiple access points, but I need to like redo a bunch of my other stuff, like a new strategy for my VLANs and maybe IP assignment, so I was kind of waiting until I had more of the pieces in place. I need to figure out how I'm connecting the garage to the rest of the house. My plan is to do it with this one fiber, but I need to make sure all the parts I have work, and I thought I had all the right parts, but these cheap third-party fiber adapters I got for my Netgear switch here show up as the wrong speed, so I had to get the more expensive first-party adapters, see if that helped. Those are coming in later. Time to add more big heat sinks. Yeah, maybe. I would certainly, I mean, I'm not above adding just ridiculous heat sinks to stuff. I put some extra heat sinks on one of the servers here. There's like a little fanless machine that I'm using for some internal stuff. And the video receiver I'm using over here. But yeah, I don't know where I would add one on the camera is the problem. None of the external surfaces seemed warm. Tuco wants out now. Actually, I don't know whether he wants out or if he just wants me to hang out. I can't quite tell the difference at this point. Because sometimes it's one and sometimes it's the other. Meow. Chico. We could open the door and then try to keep him out of trouble. Yeah, there's a lot for him to chew on around here. The power cables are, of course, the most worrisome, and so all the power cables I had in use at my old place are covered with that crinkly stuff. But I've got a couple of power cables that are new since I moved, and then I've got a bunch of stuff that was usually in the metal rack enclosures and currently isn't. And so until it's actually reassembled, it's all something that I need to keep Tuco away from. So... Do you want to hang out? You're going over here where the camera isn't. I haven't actually tested the range on this microphone yet. We're walking toward the front of the house, into the kitchen. Pardon me. A bunch of boxes that are still packed in the kitchen that Tuco's briefly inspecting and then walking past. And the server racks are next to the kitchen. in this area. And most of the equipment that matters is in the rack right now, but there's a bunch of stuff on the floor that I'm anxious about Tuco biting. There's this very thick power cord, for example, and some fiber optic, and a bunch of Cat 5. I don't know if Tuco chews fiber optic, but I don't want to find out. I don't have my own fusion splicer or termination equipment, so any damage really means I have to replace the cable. Tuco sniffing at this box of rack shelves that just came in. And now we're walking back through the living room, which has a bunch of servers on the floor, which need to go into the rack still, and a big pile of cables. Two of the computers that I'm standing next to are running the stream that you're listening to right now. And now Tuco's walking back through the hallway, back toward the back of the house, toward the bedroom and the studio room. Will he go in the bedroom or in the studio room? The bedroom is familiar. The studio is new and exciting. Full of things that he shouldn't be biting. Me so nervous. I don't have like live servers in this room now, but I sure have a lot of wires that he could still damage. Hey boy. No chewing on that stuff, honey. Are you done with this? Having some strange frame rates there in OBS. Going back toward the front of the house. Past the Wi-Fi access points that I need to finish setting up. I need to figure out if the weird VLAN strategy that I have in mind will actually work with the equipment that I'm going to have here. I'm pretty happy with the level of noise here between the servers and the traffic. It's like neither one is dramatically louder than the other. Oh, Tuco is inspecting the packaging that my access points came with. Yeah, Tuco also will definitely chew on plastic bags or foam. So, and then like classic stuff that you have to keep cats away from, like string. So, yeah, he's kind of a handful, and I don't have the area fully cat-proofed like I don't right now. Now Tuco's standing right next to a bunch of fiber. I think he just wants to check out the window, though. Tuco's still getting used to window blinds. Tuco just jumped up onto the front windowsill, which I think Tuco's going to really like this area. There's a view of the road and the sidewalk out front. There's usually a good amount of sunlight. And it's also kind of in the warm air exhaust from the servers. So in the winter, it'll be in kind of a warm spot that he can hang out in. Hey, boy. if my camera is cool enough that I can show you what's going on now. Oh, there's a pedestrian outside that Tuco's got an eye on. Aw, I think he likes this a lot. He's got that cat body language where he kind of crouches down to make himself small while still like trying to be as aware of his surroundings as possible. And he's got a great amount of sunlight coming in. Gosh. I'd like to go back and get the camera, but I don't know if I can leave him alone. He's just sitting on the windowsill and he found this great sunbeam. And the window's got some bushes outside, so there's a little bit of cover, but he's also got a really good view. Oh, it looks like he just jumped down. Where to next, Tuco? Hopefully the audio still has a good signal. I think this one, being a fancy digital microphone, will actually blink at me if it loses connection. My old analog mic was certainly one way. Just send the signal off into the air. Tuco's priority really seems to be finding all the good windows in his house. Now he's checking out the bathroom sink, though. Well, knocking the allergy medication out of the medicine cabinet. Good job, Tuco. Somebody's gonna need that Benadryl. How's that? Now Tuco's inspecting the window blinds. I think he wants to go behind. Oh, ouch. He just slipped and cut me a little bit. I'm gonna raise the blinds a little bit so he can get under this. There's not there's not quite as much windowsill as he wants. Hey boy, let me help you. I had these blinds closed all the way because it's like the bathroom, but he doesn't care. Oh yeah, most of the windows there's actually a good amount of space between the blinds and the glass, and these are mounted really close. It's interesting. How's that, Chico? Tuco has a great view of my pile of foam trash in the backyard. I have all this packing foam that I used for the move, and more of it than I can currently dispose of, so I have an unsightly pile. I'm just petting Tuco as he sits in the window well now, or the windowsill. Mm-hmm. Chico is so soft. Yeah, some of the electrical upgrades that I need to do, I think, also became a bit of a cat-proofing concern because I have to use this terrible extension cord now in order to power the servers because the outlets over there don't have good grounding. And so that extension cord is a cat hazard. I either have to cover it or replace it. Oh, Tuco's got another good view and he's just chilling and enjoying this. Quiet cat. Well, Tuco might be interested in that rear screen door, and then he'd be within range of the wired camera. But he likes this window that he's currently in. You jumping down? Yep. Alright, Tuke, where to next? Hey! Where to? You wanna go this way? So that's the outdoors. Oh, Tuco, are you not interested in the outdoors right now? He seemed to be really freaked out by the sky. Like, I think it probably reminds him of... In fact, the last time he saw the sky from... in such, like, a wide view, you know, not just, like, looking out the window, but, like, oh, the sky is, like, all around. Was probably when we were at the park near our old place. And he seemed to just be kind of having an agoraphobic time of it there. Like, he didn't like how wide open it was. He took... How's that boy? Oh, did YouTube break? Huh. Yeah, that's weird. The video is not loading for me on YouTube, but it says 2 people are watching. I couldn't tell whether it was a problem on my end or not, because my Wi-Fi here is kind of bad. But yeah, the video seems to be fine on Twitch. I'm still... it looks like the video is up on YouTube, but yeah, maybe it went down temporarily. I don't know what happened just then. That's weird. I'm still using the old streaming system on YouTube, so I don't know if that matters. Yeah, we got some good bandwidth here. 40 megabits going out on diode zone right now. Yeah, I don't know why YouTube was going down. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, question how's Tuco liking the new place? Surprisingly well, actually. I was expecting that... So, I was expecting he would be kind of cranky about staying in the bedroom for a while, which... I'm keeping him in the bedroom mostly for a couple of reasons. It's partly because I don't have the rest of the place cat-proofed yet, and it's partly because I'm taking the advice of my neighbor and fellow cat lady that kind of having him in one like home base spot for a little while will help him kind of imprint on that being a safe spot to go back to if he needs to feel safe. So it seemed useful to just have the bedroom be both my room and Tuco's main hangout, and to kind of treat that like his main living space, and then to treat the rest of the house kind of a little bit more like outdoors for him, at least for the first while. I'm trying to cat-proof the rest of the house, but it's a process. Besides all the wiring and server nonsense that I've got, because I am covering the house with electrical nonsense, there's just stuff like having sufficiently protected entry doors so that he can't just like rush out into traffic, and having a grill over the fireplace so he doesn't just try to climb the fireplace all the time, stuff like that. Because he's just an incredibly rambunctious cat. Like, he will get into stuff like this if I don't have measures in place. So yeah, I'm following him around the dining room right now, and he's climbing on stuff. It's great. But I wouldn't leave him alone around all these wires. I need to definitely have the wires protected before I can just like leave Tuco alone in this part of the house. Oh yeah, he also found some bubble wrap, which he will definitely chew on if I leave him alone with it. Oh, what do you got now, Tuco? No, don't chew on that either. Yeah, he found some plastic bags. Gosh. Yeah, it's really hard to have projects in progress around this cat, because there are so many objects that he will just eat or tear apart in some way. And it's not good for the objects or him. Like, I really don't think it's good for him to be swallowing plastic, for example. Try to avoid that. Tuk. Found a paper bag that I just got it from the pharmacy today, so I'm sure it smells like the outdoors. Or a paper bag, I guess, which is... He can chew on that, I guess, but it's got plastic bags inside it. Oh, don't... Now I found a laptop power brick, which is totally the kind of cable he would chew. Oh gosh, Tuco. I wonder how we can diagnose what went wrong with YouTube. Like, should we be keeping a full packet capture of the whole stream so that I can go back through it in times like this? I mean, I can call up the bandwidth graphs for my transcoding server to see if the intermediate stream had any hiccups. Chico is wandering around the living room now, and I'm kind of keeping an eye on him, but he seems to be mostly well behaved. He's probably going to knock off a bunch of my temporary cameras and wiring situations, though. What are you getting into now, Tuco? Network. Oh, do I not have network stats for this machine? I'm sure this is incredibly exciting as I narrate Tuco's exploration of this room that none of you can see at the moment. Tuco is now carefully stepping over my pile of rack rails that don't quite fit. He's really interested in the fireplace, and I have the grill installed over it, but only partially. So it's making me nervous again. I know it probably smells interesting in there. Like very old burnt wood. Yeah, it does look like there's a blip in the bandwidth graph that could have been YouTube dropping out, but like that doesn't tell me who started it. And it was only out for like a minute and a half. It's interesting. Tuco. Well, now Tuco's sitting on a speaker that isn't hooked up, which is something he likes to sit on these speakers that I have a lot, which is why most of them have the knobs removed, because otherwise he'll chew on the knobs. They're like little desktop monitor speakers that each have a level knob on the back. I've got the Isopods on a little rolling cart now, which is pretty cool. I don't know, it'll be... I'll show you once I have the camera actually over here, but the the plastic bin I've got the Isopods in, and the computer that I have running the Isopods, and this little rolling cart from IKEA were all basically about the right same size. Oh, now it's cold over here because the door is still open. Took took. Tuco. Gosh, that's making me nervous. I feel like he could probably figure out how to operate that doorknob. There's a question from chat: how to be a firmware engineer? Like, what's the advice for beginners? I mean, if you have to do it, I mean, mostly, I would say it requires a lot of time to like stare at obscure stuff and try to understand how it all works. So, if you're up for that, I've had luck with taking a specific thing that I'm interested in and trying to understand it in a lot of detail, like whatever that involves, like, you know, reading code, reading binaries, running experiments, like whatever you can find the motivation to do. Another question about whether Tuco's allowed to go outside. No, Tuco is not allowed to go outside. He's an indoor cat. If he went outside, he would probably get into trouble. Tuco. Oh, honey. Okay. I think the issue with the fireplace is that cats can crawl up the fireplace and get like stuck up there, or, you know, depending on how your chimney is built, either get out onto the roof or just like get stuck up in there somewhere, or just like not come down. I mean, it's good to not have like spots where your cat can go that you can't easily access also, so that if there's an emergency you can get access to your cat to get them safe. Thanks, Tuco. That wasn't important. Yeah, Tuco's a really good climber. He would climb these beams that were just 20 feet above a concrete floor at my old place, and that was super nerve-wracking. Oh, YouTube went down for everyone? Not just me. Huh. That's just what I hear. I don't know what's actually going on. Well, Tuco doesn't seem to be immediately freaked out by the sky, which is good. I think he's mostly paying attention to the view of the trees and the critters, similar to how he does in the bedroom. A little bit less quiet here with the door open. You get more of the road noise blast. If we wanted to make it less quiet, I could go do my experiment where I try to run all my servers off the generator and see how long they last. Yeah, it's nice to hang out with Tuco. I was saying earlier, I don't know if you're just joining us, you might expect this to be like electronics content, but I'm still kind of in the middle of this big project of unpacking and moving and getting everything reset up. So there isn't a whole lot of the usual stuff to do on stream, but we can talk and hang out with Tuco. All the camera attachments are makeshift right now. That carcass of a server to the right of Tuco is what Diode Zone was running on for a while. Don't know what to do with it now. Oh yeah, that's a good question. James is wondering how all the human aspects of moving are working out. Yeah, that's actually been pretty great. I mean, so I feel like the actual stressful parts of the move where, I had to get all my shit out of the old place into the new place on a time frame and have the old place cleaned out and all that, like, all that's done with. So I feel like, it's been this process of kind of like relaxing about that, but also kind of like really taking stock of everything that I've got to do at this place now that I'm actually trying to make it my new studio and home. So, it's been nice. It's been a little bit overwhelming just like with how much stuff there is to do, but I think it's mostly good. I feel like I've got the bedroom set up kind of nice. It's like the first time I've had like a cozy bedroom in a really long time, and that's been nice. The kitchen still needs work, but it's already been nice to cook there a little bit. There's some good places to eat and some places to buy groceries nearby, so that's been nice. Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on all the chats. I've got the YouTube and the Twitch and the Gitter chat. Oh, Tuco's going back in the bedroom. Gosh, speaking of human things, I could actually use a bite to eat at some point. Yeah, there's some good sandwich places nearby if I feel like spending money on a sandwich. And there's actually a lot of really good restaurants in the area because I'm pretty close to like the city center in a pretty big city, so it's actually a really nice place for just like doing things in the immediate vicinity of the house, which is one of the main reasons I ended up here. Is I really wanted some place that I could not have a car but still feel like connected to the city, and so this is actually a really good location, I think. Oh no, Tuco, he just took a big old bite. What cable was that? Was that DisplayPort? Tuco, don't even. I don't think he damaged it, but geez, he really wanted to. I got this weird old refurb server from eBay. Because, you know, sometimes I need a machine for a specific purpose. This time I needed something else to go into the garage and run, like, cutting tools off of. And I have a computer that I was using for that purpose at the old place, but it was really too slow for the job, so I think I'm going to use it for something different. So I was looking on eBay, I found this cheap refurb machine. It's super weird in some ways, though. Like, it only has DisplayPort and VGA, no HDMI. Which, I mean, I assume it's because they didn't want to pay the HDMI license fee, but it seems silly. You'd think they would at least have DVI, but I guess that takes up too much space now. Chico's wandering into the kitchen now. I bet the camera's cooled off enough that I could grab it next time I'm nearby. Oh, Chico's in the laundry area. One of the many projects I have to do around this house is to put a door into the laundry area to keep Tuco out. Because it's got a bunch of stuff that's not safe for him. Like power cables and gas lines and hot surfaces and hot equipment and yeah, and he finds this area interesting because it's got more windows and it smells like door. And it's also got the attic. Like, there are actually a couple of places where you can access the attic, and I'm sure once Tuco figures out that exists, he'll want to get in there, so I need to figure out how. Don't go down there, Tuco. He is about to go behind the washer. Yeah, once I figure out how to once I have Tuco in a position where he could get access to the door, I need to have it like closable. Gosh, Tuco. Oh, it's actually getting kind of cold in here now. Tuk. Oops. Oh, Tuk. Oh, gosh. Oh yeah, that's a good question. Am I planning on having Tuco Flyer in the new place? Not really. I mean, there isn't really a good place for it. It seems like there might be an opportunity to build some kind of camera contraption for the hallway at this place, but there really isn't the same kind of situation where there's one big wide open space that Tuco has access to. And I don't think Tuco's going to have access to the garage, so, I'll probably want some kind of cameras that I can do streaming from in the garage, but I don't know if they need to move around. There isn't really the overhead space for a cable system like I had with Tuco Flyer. So yeah, not really. I think it's more of a thing where I'd be looking to repurpose the parts rather than the entire idea. Yeah, I like having the garage detached like this, though. It feels like I can do messy stuff in there and generate fumes or whatever, and not have to worry about Tuco getting into any of that. Yeah, there could be like a little outdoor rover, maybe. That could be neat. Yeah, I've got a plan to have good Wi-Fi coverage of the house and the garage, but right now it sucks. I haven't got the new Wi-Fi set up, and my old Wi-Fi access point covers barely anything right now. Just hanging out with Tuke. Gosh, so yeah, there's a lot of wiring I need to figure out. Like, this house has a mixture of like really old wiring and not so old wiring, and I feel like there's probably, I don't know, like there might be some stuff I don't want to replace, like, but there's a lot of stuff I probably do, and I think I'm gonna start by wanting to just run some new circuits that are specifically for the servers and the recording area. But then, there's a bunch of stuff where I want to like map out the existing system and replace at least the worst parts of it, if not all of it. But some of it seems relatively recent. Like, the kitchen was redone relatively recently, it seems, and they put in new wiring for at least the lights in there. I don't know about the plugs. I mean, there seems to be a pretty good correlation between the grounding and the recency of the rest of the wiring, but I need to make a map of, like, really what's going on. I've only spent a little bit of time in the attic and the crawl space so far. Yeah, moving into a house is really trippy. Like, it's a big project, it's a lot of work, but it's also, like, something that feels more durable than I expected to have access to, which is pretty great. But yeah, it's a lot of work and a lot different than anywhere else I've lived, really. Yeah, so there's a bunch of projects around house stuff, and then there's just getting back to like, oh, what am I even doing here? Like, what am I focusing on with the work that I'm doing that I'm trying to share with all of you? And I mean, the project that I was trying to figure out before getting really derailed by the moving stuff was, I don't know, I'm not really sure what it was turning into. Like, I was doing a bunch of planning around this kind of USB switcher, Charlie plexing, Tuco plexing kind of thing that I did. But I didn't want it to be just like a show and tell project. I wanted it to have something else that it was trying to get to, but I still haven't really figured out what that is, and I don't know if I need to just figure that out or if I need to go in a completely different direction or what. So I've been trying to figure that out while I also just figure out how to actually set up this house and set up a little studio. On Tuco plexing. Oh yeah, I guess I should explain that. That was just like a silly name that I threw out there for this thing where I don't know, it's not really like a novel thing, and like part of the video I was going to try to get at like the kind of absurdity of the way we want to attach ideas to people even when they're really these just like fundamental concepts. But I mean, in short, it's this extension of another type of multiplexing that's kind of common called Charlie plexing, where you use combinations of current paths between pairs of pins or pairs of wires. So if you have like 5 wires, for example, then instead of separating them into like rows and columns of a matrix like you would often do, you treat all of those 5 wires as both rows and columns. So you have, for like n wires, you could imagine having like an n by n matrix with all the different ways that you can connect those 2 wires. Definitely going to have the door closed when I do audio stuff in this room during rush hour. Actually, it's not even rush hour yet. It's still like afternoon. But yeah, a lot of traffic noise right outside. Yeah, so Charlie plexing is this idea that instead of just having a row and column kind of matrix, you have a matrix where, and this is like how I think of Charlie plexing. I'm sure there are a bunch of different ways to explain it, but I like to think of it as a matrix where the rows and columns are the same, and you're kind of treating the top and the bottom half of the matrix as like different directions for the same pairs of wires, like different directions for the current paths. So if you imagine that, you have like an n by n matrix. You can use all the squares in that matrix except for the diagonal where you have current. You can't have current flowing in and out of the same wire, but for every other pair of wires, you can have a current path. So Tucoplexing is like that, but instead of just using the 2 directions, you also have different durations of current. So I have these like little resistor capacitor circuits that are used to like sense the difference between multiple buttons that are all sharing the same current path on a Charlie plexed kind of circuit. And so I was calling that Tucoplexing. Yeah, somebody put Tucoplexing on Wikipedia. I don't know how that happened. Tuco's pretty chill. I've got this little tree out in the backyard that you can't quite see with this camera angle. But I think Tuco is much more interested in the giant tree that's actually in the neighbor's yard. So yeah, I was trying to do some kind of video that was, like, I think, I don't know, like, I think there's probably plenty of videos out there that explain Charlie plexing and explain, like, multiplexing in general, but I didn't see any that I really liked, and I wanted to kind of do my own attempt at that, but I don't know whether at this point to make it, like, like, what genre of video is it trying to be? Is it primarily, like, an instructional video, or a project video, or a comedy, or a drama, like, how do I write it accordingly? And I mean, comedy works pretty well, right? I mean, right, like, I feel like I need to package this content in a format that is actually interesting to me if it's going to be interesting to anyone else. All my videos are on Diode Zone. Yeah, I've got all the... I think they're pretty much all on YouTube also, but yeah, I try to keep the kind of canonical back catalog on Diode Zone. And Diode Zone, by the way, if you haven't heard of it, is an instance of PeerTube. So PeerTube is an open source thing that you can run on your own server that lets it be like a federated sort of YouTube-ish thing. It's sort of like if you had a Mastodon YouTube hybrid, if you've heard of Mastodon. It's like a decentralized social network it's sort of like if you had Twitter and email. That's how you get Mastodon, and then if you take Mastodon and YouTube, that's how you get PeerTube. Does any of that make sense? Anyway, it's a way that you can upload video and share it with people and connect it to other social networks if those other social networks are ActivityPub compatible, which basically means Mastodon at this point. But yeah, the thing that I like about PeerTube is that it's really like a way to have videos that you're hosting, but you can also make it part of a somewhat larger ecosystem. So you can still like share those videos in kind of a like a content aggregation sense with other websites that maybe have similar goals or similar audiences. So you can kind of solve some of the problem where, YouTube, I mean, like, not even just YouTube, but like big platforms in general, like, the big platforms get bigger because people just go there and look for all the content there. And so in addition to trying to decentralize the bandwidth requirements a little bit, PeerTube is trying to decentralize the indexing a little bit by letting you share your content with other servers and letting servers kind of follow each other and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's still pretty small, It's a small set of servers, and it's not going to be as big as something like YouTube or Vimeo, but I think it's cool, and I like running an instance of it. And it is running right here. I mean, no longer in the same room, but on the other side of the house now. I don't really need advice on server quietness. I think I've done plenty of research on my own, and I've got a solution that I'm pretty happy with at the moment. Oh, Tuco is really into all the bird sounds now. Veep. There's some good quacking. Yeah, all my stuff's on Diode Zone and several other really cool creators, and you can put your stuff up on Diode Zone. It is available for the use of people like you, if you're interested. But yeah, I mean, what I usually tell people about like decentralized social media is, if you have any interest or, ability to run the server, then like definitely do so, because you'll probably enjoy it. You'll probably like having that level of control and flexibility. But, by all means, don't do it if you don't like running servers, and, but find someone that you actually trust to run your decentralized social media experience. So, don't just hop on a random Mastodon server, for example. Find a Mastodon server that's run by either yourself or someone that you trust. And same thing would go for PeerTube. An indoor-outdoor water cooling loop. Oh, that would be interesting. Huh. I mean, so far, if I need additional coolness, I've just been opening the screen door in the laundry room, and that's been doing all right. But it's not summer yet, so I still need to figure out what summer is going to be like. I think Tuco's gonna like sitting right there, but I want to build him something that I think he'll like even more. I want to attach like a little outdoor box kind of thing to the bedroom window, so he can just walk out through the bedroom window onto like a cat patio that's enclosed but still has access to dirt and sky and bugs and whatever. I have to build it such that he can't like dig under it, or so like raccoons can't dig under it either. Maybe it has like a solid wire mesh bottom or something. And then I like bury the wire mesh a few inches or something like that. There are definitely cats in the neighborhood. Like, I've seen some outdoor cats. I saw a couple actually on my security cameras just like walking by. I think I saw one in person. But, yeah, I think if Tuco had access to the outdoors here, he would hurt a bunch of the local birds, and he would probably get hurt. And, there's like a bunch of traffic around here, and I think he would not have a very safe time. Like, he would probably come back, but eventually he wouldn't, and that would be really sad. And it definitely wouldn't be good for the local wildlife. Yeah, I do feel like this house is pretty relaxing. It's definitely nice having some segmentation so that I can have like the garage stuff and the computer stuff and Tuco not necessarily in the same place all the time, and it's actually kind of closer to like city stuff. Like, I actually have a lot less distance between me and like groceries and restaurants and parks and stuff like that for the most part. Hey, Tick Tick. Meow. What's going on? Hey. too. What cable are you gonna bite next? I need to figure out where my favorite pizza is gonna be locally. There's a couple of pizza places, but I don't know if I've developed any preferences yet. Oh yeah, that's a good spot. Good spot for cats. Yeah, it feels pretty good to be away from the, like, Bay Area tech bubble vortex. That was really a drag. And it's still pretty easy to go back and visit folks. Taken a couple trips to visit a friend that I used to live really close to, and now I live less close to, but I can still take like a day trip or visit for dinner or something. I feel like I'm cautiously optimistic about summer. Summer is going to be hot here, but I think I might kind of like it. I don't want to like set myself up for failure here, but I think at this point I'm actually in the mood for weather that's a little bit warmer for the most part. As long as I can keep the equipment cool enough. But, you know, we have air conditioning. I'll get to wear tank tops and stuff instead of big heavy coats, and that'll be nice. And these two back rooms have ceiling fans. The one in this room works pretty well. The other one needs rebalancing really badly. It looks like it's going to wobble itself apart if I run it at all. Gosh, I'm really enjoying the lack of computer fan noise in this room. This laptop is also fanless, which is pretty nice. Yeah, I don't know what kind of like sound treatment stuff I'm going to set up in this room. Before I actually moved in, I was investigating the possibility of like setting up some kind of really like elaborate like room in room kind of thing. Now that I've actually been here and tried using this new microphone here, I don't even know if that's necessary. I mean, I think I want something to absorb a bunch of the echoing. But I mean, as long as the doors and the windows are closed, like it's already, I think, a lot quieter than the old place. I mean, right now, of course, with the door open, we're getting a bunch of road noise. Tuk tuk. Are we going back in the bedroom? I think we're going back in the bedroom. trying to follow Tuco around with the camera on a long wire. This whole process is pretty unwieldy, huh? This room is mostly cardboard. Yeah, that's a good point. James brings up that once I'm actually moved in, the echo will probably be less echoey just because we'll have like stuff in the rooms. Yeah, so this is a new place. There are many wires which are currently on the floor and will eventually be under the floor. But right now they're on the floor, which is not the best place for wires. Tuco. Ow, my foot's asleep. Tuco, where are you going now? Kitchen. Back from the kitchen. Oh, don't bite that. Kind of cold now. I think this toilet valve is leaking. Oh yeah, question from chat, how is Tuco with wires? He is a terrible menace to wires. He will chew on most types of wires. Some wires seem to be kind of safe, but yeah, most of them he will chew on. It's pretty bad. That's like 60% of the reason I'm following him around right now, because he will chew on all these exposed wires that I have. Oh, and do I still have 3D printed bolts? Yeah, most of the bolts I have are not 3D printed. They're mostly just the standard nylon ones, because I think he likes them a little better. I think they have a better texture. But I was 3D printing them for a while to experiment with variations on the regular design. Ah, Tuco, it's cold. Brr. Oh yeah, my Wi-Fi here keeps dropping. I'm like close to the edge of the range where I'm standing. And when the Wi-Fi drops, I'm still streaming. I just can't see the stream myself. This is going to be so much better once I have the multiple Wi-Fi access points set up. Gosh, VPN on top of flaky Wi-Fi is even worse than just the flaky Wi-Fi. Oh, that's another good question. Does Tuco chirp? Yeah, he does. Mostly when there's some good birds outside. Yeah, the mornings here have been pretty nice. I've been getting up really early a lot lately. Like getting up before the sun and going on walks, like old person stuff. And it's been kind of nice. I feel like the world's oldest millennial. Yeah, I'm glad that Tuco seems so happy here. I was worried that he wasn't going to like it as much as the old place, but it seems like he's really into it. I'm VPNing inside my house. Well, just, because Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm pretty happy here too. I feel like happiness in general is a complicated work in progress for me, but this place has definitely been a big improvement. I think the old place had this, this like aspect where it was really impressive at first, but it was difficult to feel like really comfortable in sustainably. And this place is kind of the opposite. Like, I feel like it looks pretty like normal and basic, but it feels like something that can really sustain me. I've had different reactions to this from different people in my life. Not that there are a lot of people in my life right now, but like, some people, when I told them where I was moving, they were like, oh, that's, they had something negative to say about it or whatever. And mostly those people I'm not super interested in having in my life at this point. And then other people were, when I kind of like expected them to be pretty neutral about it, actually were kind of more positive than I expected. Anyway, there were a lot of people in my life where I feel like if if this isn't their cup of tea, then that's probably for the best. James says the old place seemed like a great space for a hack place or hacker space and a bad place for a home. Yeah, that's about right. It would have been only a mediocre hacker space too, because it was just kind of a tricky place to actually have events in. It wasn't properly accessible, and the landlords were bad about keeping the elevator working, and it didn't seem like we could consistently have like noise or crowds of people there. So it was only sort of usable for events. Like some of my neighbors that would do events more regularly ended up having problems with that. So yeah, it was really not a great space for a lot of things. I think it's weird because like people keep trying to use those spaces for different things and having varying amounts of success at it. And like a bunch of my neighbors were painting in those spaces for a while, which seemed like there's so much natural light and there's a lot of room, but they also just got really expensive to pay for, like making paintings, so the painters mostly moved out. And let's see, a couple of my former neighbors were like interior designers, and so their space was mostly like kind of a place to have interesting like furniture and stuff. So it was much more like kind of looked like your more typical kind of upscale loft rather than like a workshop for the most part. And I was trying to have this weird combination of like kind of workshop space and kind of living space, which, worked in some ways, but it was really frustrating in others. And yeah, it would have been more sustainable if I could have regular events there, but it seemed like that only sort of worked the way the space was set up. I ended up selling off all those tables and chairs that I had for doing events. Oh yeah, the other place from chat, it was definitely like a warehouse. It was literally like a factory that was converted into different spaces over time. So I think originally it was making bridge cables, like in the early 20th century. I think the building dated from like 1910 or something like that. It was making bridge cables. And then it turned into different stuff. Like, I don't know, at some point they added a second floor. So the floor that my unit was actually on was not original. Originally it was just a big wide open warehouse. But at some point they added the floor, they added a bunch of subdividing walls. But, I mean, the walls were never, like, airtight or anything. And the floor was kind of bouncy and weird. Like, it was not as stable as I expected a concrete slab to be. But the building was cool. It had a lot of character. It just wasn't worth what they were asking in rent. It's cool if it's like a quirky kind of bohemian artist warehouse, but if you're charging like bougie market rate for the place, then it's really, really, really not worth that. Yeah, interesting ambience. I think that's kind of what attracts like more the designer types to it. There's also some photographers in the building, which like the natural light is pretty great for that. Actually, we were talking about even just like renting some of the spaces that aren't otherwise being used like as photography studios, like with a daily rate, and just talking about how to make that into a business. But yeah, I'm just kind of glad to be out of that space. It was, I don't know, it was good in a lot of ways, but it had just turned into one of those things that I couldn't imagine getting out of, and I just like felt stuck in. So it's nice to be out of that finally. And this house feels solid. It feels like a place where, like no matter what happens, I've at least got this little like chunk of land that I can like sleep on. I was trying to figure out what Tuco is staring at. He's staring kind of in the direction of the little tree that I put out there in a pot. I got this like free bamboo plant from a friend who bought too many bamboo plants. And bamboo is cool, but I feel like if I plant it in my backyard, it might just take over everything and the entire city would be bamboo. So I put it in like the largest planter that I could find. But I don't know what Tuco's actually looking at. There's probably a bird or something that I haven't noticed. Yeah, this room's going to be great once I have a desk. Right now, it's just like this gargantuan mess of cable. And gosh, like I feel like maybe the thing that I just need to do is sort the cables by type. When I packed the cable, they were mostly sorted by where I packed them up from. There would be like boxes that were like video desk, boxes that were like editing desk, boxes for the different racks. But I'm changing around so much of this stuff that like at this point I've used like that kind of organization helped me in approximately the first 48 hours of unpacking when I just needed like certain objects as quickly as possible. And now that I'm just trying to deal with the resulting mess, I think I just need like all HDMI cables go here, all coax go here. And now that I actually have some space that I can exclude Tuco from, I get to think about how to organize cables in a new way. I never had a good way to organize cables, and it was always a pain because I had to keep them out of Tuco's reach, and that was always the most significant bit in any cable organization, was to keep them out of the cat's mouth. Oh yeah, that's a good point, that there are some kinds of bamboo that make clumps and some that like run out sideways really quickly. Yeah, I think this is the clumping kind, so it might be that I can transplant it into the ground, but I need to like be more sure about that, and I wasn't ready to make that commitment, so I bought a big pot for it. And it's still a pretty small plant, so I think this pot will last it for a while. Let me see if I can get a view of the plant now that I've been talking about it for a while. I think I could actually put an extension on this camera, like a USB extension. It's also already on, it's already on this Cat 5 thing, yo. Oh, ears. Good opportunity to use these server ears for something off-label. Oh, are you coming out? Of course, as soon as I get this framed, he wants to do something else. Oh yeah, so that's the potted bamboo plant in the middle. Still can't really tell what Tuco is into. Ah, yes, sorting cable by type. I mean, I feel like the sorting part is fun. I think the part that I have trouble with is just, like, maintaining a large number of bulky objects in my surroundings without them all becoming cat toys and or trip hazards. And I mean, the cable mess feels just even bigger than usual, because a lot of the cables, I mean, like I had a lot of them in service, you know, like there were a lot of cables that were running back and forth inside of the convoluted tubing between my desk and the rack before and stuff like that, or like there was a lot of stuff that was just in the rack, which is currently just spilled out all over the floor. So it's even messier. Yeah, but I think I want to set up something where a lot of the cables can hang. Like, I mean, not all of them, of course, but some of the ones that I'll want to use frequently. Like, now that I have a closet that's close to the area where I'm filming, I can maybe put a hanging cable rack on the inside of the closet door. Oh yeah, there's like this weird plant that's kind of occluding the bamboo that has this like brown bunch of leaves at the end. And that one looked like it wasn't doing too well, but I've been watering it a bunch and it seems to be coming back. Oh yeah, there's a question from chat about whether those are oranges. Yeah, I think so. There's some kind of citrus. I think they might be like little oranges or tangerines or something. I haven't tried tasting one yet. But those have been falling off the tree that's in the lot adjoining this. Tuco definitely has the go faster stripes. James suggests getting guttering and putting it along the tops of the walls. You mean for hanging cables or for something else? Oh, I don't know if this is what you were talking about, but I have this like cable raceway stuff that I got, which I was using at the old place. It's just like a plastic U-channel with all these cuts down the side, and you can put the cable in the U-channel and cover the U-channel, but the cable can also enter or exit through any of those cuts. I don't know what that's called, but I got a bunch of it, and I've been using it to just surface mount cables, mostly network cables. I think in the house here, I'm going to try doing the cables more permanent, with like wall face plates and everything. But I think that stuff is going to be great for the garage. I just want to put that stuff up against the unfinished wall at the top of the, garage wall, and just load network cables into that as much as I want. I suspect you could hang cables from the little cuts in the side, but I don't think it'd be strong enough. I think it'd probably get bent out of shape too easily. Tuco. What a pretty cat. I should probably get some food and get back to the unpacking and setting stuff up at some point, but it's been really nice to hang out. I'm going to try to actually have a regular stream schedule, but I don't think I'm quite ready to announce something at this point. Yeah, it's relatively easy for me to do the streams now. I feel like, everything is on the floor still, but at least I have a pretty good microphone set up now, and I know where the most important cameras are. So mostly at this point, it's that I don't have a desk or like projects to stream, except for the house itself as a project, which is kind of awkward to stream. We could go up into the crawl space. It's pretty gnarly. I don't think I'd want to take my good camera though. It's pretty dusty. I took some photos using my cell phone camera and got my cell phone kind of grimy, but it worked out. Yeah, how could I do that? I've got a... So, this comes back to the problem that I keep having, which is like, how do people do video streams anyway? Because like, wireless just seems really unreliable for this kind of thing. Like, what is the lowest tech way that people would just do this? Like, you start Periscope and crawl under the house, and as soon as you go under the house, you lose your LTE signal and the Periscope drops. We could try that. It doesn't seem super fun. Maybe once I finish upgrading my Wi-Fi, it would work, and we could get enough Wi-Fi signal throughout the whole crawl space. But yeah, I like streaming the projects, but when the projects get super meta, then the difficulty in the setup kind of keeps compounding. Can I do wireless within the house and wired from a PC tower? Yeah, that's like the usual way things work, right? I don't really understand. Streaming the setup of the streaming gear, yeah. I do some of that sometimes, but yeah, it gets really meta and annoying pretty quickly. I mean, I could show you what I'm doing here, but I feel like I've mostly covered that. Unless you want to go into like how the software is set up too. Maybe it's a good time to do my generator test. It sounds like someone else is doing that kind of thing too. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different ways that I could do Wi-Fi streaming. Like, I could run the whole stream from the Wi-Fi, like, you know, generate the final encode from some kind of mobile device, and then send it either directly to streaming services or to my own stream relay server here. And that might work. It's just that if it cuts out, then it just entirely cuts out, and we just lose the whole stream. And so I don't know if I trust that. I'd want to do some tests. Then there's have the actual stream encoder be stationary, and then have effectively a wireless camera connected to that. And I've tried that, including pretty recently. It's just that it's pretty laggy and unreliable the way my Wi-Fi is right now. But yeah, at least doing it that way, then like if the camera's laggy or glitchy, then the audio still works. Wow, people are into the meta projects. Well, maybe I'll try to make more of that happen. Yeah, I mean, I need to do the Wi-Fi upgrade. That's mostly just doing a bunch of network configuration, which is partly just me fussing with the pfSense UI a whole bunch, and partly trying to find an SFP module that actually works with the switch that I have. And I'm not gonna stream my firewall setup UI. Sorry. not gonna go. Oops. Not gonna go into that much detail. And for my next trick, you can have all my passwords and private keys. I don't know where Tuco went off to. Oh, Tuco. Oh, I should close that door too. It's kind of cold. Back to the bedroom. Alright. I'll join you in a minute, Chico. Alright. I think I'm going to actually sign off here. And thanks for joining me for this weird little miniature stream. I still don't know how much it's actually practical to be streaming the setup, because I feel like it just gets so meta that you know, I kind of want this to be about something other than just itself, but I'll do what I can. Anyway, thanks so much for stopping by, and a special thanks to all the patrons who donate every month and make this show possible. And I'll try to get back to producing actually electronics-related stuff ASAP. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions or comments or anything else, and I'll see you all next time.